6:40. Please know that this meeting is being broadcast live and audio and video recorded, as well as Zoom broadcast for now. And we will start with open session. Is anyone here for open session? David, anybody indicate to you they would be coming to open session?
No, not tonight.
Okay. Nothing there, so we have the minutes and the consent agenda. The first item in the consent agenda is minutes. Does anyone have any objection to the minutes being part of the consent agenda now?
Did we have minutes?
No.
Currently? No.
Okay, and the other is the appointment to the Council on Aging.
I guess my only question is, do we know is Patricia, is she already on the COA board? Or is this a new appointment for her?
I believe it's a new appointment for her.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just calling, so Lamoureux, Patricia Lamoureux. Okay, we have our information in here, yeah, please.
Make the motion to appoint Patricia Lamoureux to the Council on the Aging.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion?
How long's the term?
That I do not know.
I'm checking to see if it's on here.
Until unexpired term.
It's unexpired?
For the length of the unexpired term, whatever position she's taking.
Oh, in other words, there's an open term and it's
Yeah.
however long that is. What's the
Right.
max?
3.
Okay, so the max would be 3. But it's open, so it could be anywhere between 1 and 2.
Okay, thank you for that. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Unanimous? Okay, next item, is gonna be a pretty quick meeting, I think. New business, the, change order for Hubbardson Center School roof project. David, I just wanted to, I was gonna mention it before, but is this a holdover, a new one? Is this just the one, for the lights?
This is the one for the lights and the extension of the contract.
Okay.
So we get a small credit of about $500 for the changes in the lights associated with the clock tower. And because of the delays in procuring the sheet metal in particular, the contract has asked for an additional 38 days on the contract.
Yep, sounds good, but breaking news, that came in last week, all the metal stuff, the metal roofing.
Okay.
And they began installing it today. So it's moving along as they sort of hoped. It didn't get delayed in COVID land for another month or anything like that, so it's coming in. So I have asked for what the associated costs would be with this delay from our owner's project manager and architect. There are no additional architect costs. The owner's project manager costs, there are some additional because we need to have, per the MSBA, the building authority, we need to have the owner's project manager, clerk of the works, resident engineer on site with them at all times. So because of that extension, I was trying to get out of that, but that's not legal. So there is gonna be some additional costs. They broke it down because then they have project management costs and other sorts of things that they put in there. And so I had them sort of break it down with a few scenarios, weekly, monthly, that sort of thing. And so we have that info. It's well within the budget that we've got. So there are no issues whatsoever, and everybody's got those numbers out on the table. So that enough info, you think?
So is the clock tower actually gonna have the right time and keep time again?
I don't know about that.
In theory, maybe?
That's the deal.
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be nice. If it
Yeah.
actually told the right time again and worked.
And not leak.
Yeah, and not leak, that's the biggest thing, not
What
leak.
happened to the lights? Why do we need different lights?
I don't even know the details. So they were just. Do you know the details? You were part of the meeting. I
The
think.
details was that the light fixtures on the clock tower apparently were older and larger, and with the newer equipment, it could be brought down in terms of size, and it resulted in a savings. So, as good or better illumination at a lower cost.
But will it tell time?
It will tell time.
Okay.
It may not tell this. right time, but a
Whoa.
volatile
There's
time.
no action on this, right, for
Yeah.
us.
We didn't have any action last time, do you need anything from us this time?
No, just informational at this point.
Cause the money's already in place
Yeah.
for
Money's
that, right?
already in
Yeah.
place.
So you said, so it says here that at the extension, the time extension is 38 days, but then Dan just said the material was in?
It's in, but that includes, they're already beyond the original contract date, so,
So that's 38 days is solid, even though they already have.
they hope to do better than that 38 days. That was, they began the change order process with that before it actually got delivered, so,
Okay.
I think that it coming in sooner is good news.
Yeah, so this project has been delayed because of COVID-19 interruptions to supply chains, but there's also been high heat during the part of July and August, and as well as a lot of rain, both of which affect the ability of the contractor to put people on the roof safely.
But they've been doing pretty good about sticking
Yeah.
with what they could do at the time, so, yeah, not exorbitant by any means.
Is the deadline still projected deadline still the 21st, as it was prior to all of this?
Well, no, that's what the extension of the time was.
Yeah,
Oh,
be
for
That
another-
pushes that along.
towards the end of October.
Yeah.
Okay. Before the snow flies.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay, anything further, anybody have any questions on that? No, okay, we will move on to the ARPA committee and letters of interest for the committee. So, David, can you just let us know how that was advertised, if you know, sort of know offhand?
So we advertise this through the website as well as making announcements in open meeting, and making sure that the committees and boards knew about it by contacting the chairs and talking to them about the need for a small group of people who can work in a focused way on how we best can use the $1.4 million to support the town of Hubbardston. This is grant money, so it's not subject to town meeting appropriation. So having community involvement is important as a way to make sure that people feel that their voices and concerns are being heard. Also a team of select board as the chief executives, the planning board, and as the finance committee should be working on this. This is federal money, so there's federal procurement issues that we need to be thinking about. It would be very wise for us to hire a consultant who can guide us through this whole process.
Can we pay for the consultant through the ARPA funding?
Yes.
Alright. Sounds like a good idea, so is there a,
We had received a letter of interest from,
Mike Foley.
but back
Yeah.
to the consultant though, is there a database or something for those, you know, consultants that might be best suited for this?
no, there isn't, and part of that is that we still don't have the final guidelines from the US Treasury on this. We're expecting those in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Okay.
But we could put together an RFP and begin to test the waters to find out who might be able to help us out.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So sorry to interrupt there, but we have one letter of interest so far.
That's right.
That's from Mike Foley, many of you may know. He did have some questions, it basically says, is there a format the letter is supposed to be in for this committee? I'm interested, depending on time commitment, how often does the committee meet? So, we'll tell him any answer he wants to hear, so that he can be on.
Alright, I told him
Are
that
you watching,
that
Mike?
the committee would probably meet twice before a special town meeting.
Okay, alright.
Mhm.
Alright, sounds good. I as far as, appointment to this committee, what process should we use?
Well, the two members from the select board, Mr. Foley and then whoever the chair designates as the representative from the planning board and from the finance committee. That would be the form of the motion.
Okay, so we haven't received any information from finance or planning on who they,
Not yet.
okay. Alright, well, we should get to this, right? I mean, we shouldn't be waiting around any longer.
Right.
Alright, well, can you reach out to them and find out who their representative
or you can build that into your motion, that, the chair of the finance committee and the planning board or their designees.
Okay. And then how do we do it for the select board? Same?
And the same.
Okay. So, okay, so just so we're clear, so we're basically, motion would be to, for the select board, the planning board, and the finance committee, basically stating that the representatives for the select board, would we say the chair and vice chair, or their
Or their designees.
designated, and then for the planning, like you just said, planning and finance, the chair or their, and Mike Foley.
Yep. And this committee is a guiding committee, it's not a gatekeeper committee, it makes
Yeah, are
recommendations
you writing all that
Okay.
down?
for using.
Trying.
I was,
Yeah, that was a lot.
It's on TV.
It's on
uh,
TV.
For, not like the CPA committee, which by law, you have to get their approval to get something funded. This would be a guiding committee to help the select board make the best decisions for
Okay.
the,
right.
So who is the decision maker on what gets funded?
ultimately it'd be the select board.
So it comes back to us anyway, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And we're good with Mike Foley as the member of the community?
Absolutely.
He's
I
the
mean, I am-
he's the community member, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
If he's the, yeah, well, first of all, he's the only one that, but yeah, he's usually pretty involved and,
Extremely.
yeah, if he's gonna do something, he does it.
Okay, I can give this a go
Go ahead,
if we're ready.
please do.
Well, wait a minute, is there a time limit to get community responses for people who wanna be on this?
August 30th.
So that's come and gone, and we only got one response. And we have one open spot.
Mhm.
Sounds like a no-brainer.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mike Foley as the member of the community for the American Rescue Plan Act Advisory Board. And the chair or vice chair or designee of the select board, the chair, vice chair, or designee of the planning board, and the chair, vice chair, or designee of the finance committee.
I'll second that motion.
Yep.
Did I miss
Uh,
anything, David?
Discussion, can you just, I think 2 representatives from the select board, so somehow that has to
Oh.
get in there.
Yeah.
I can modify that.
That's an
I had
and.
so much fun I could do it again.
And as opposed to or.
Oh, try this again.
Nope, you can
Jesus.
just amend it.
Oh. Fine. I'd like to make an amendment to my motion to change it from the chair or vice chair or designee of the select board to 2 representatives of either the chair and vice chair or designees of the select board.
Nice job.
Thank
Is that amendment seconded?
I'll second that, yeah.
Sounds good, any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, unanimous, sounds good. Okay,
That was fun.
next item, and just to follow up, so you will reach out to those 2 committees there? Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. So closing the warrant for the special town meeting, has everyone had a chance to take a look at the warrant?
Were there any changes, David, that are in tonight's version that weren't in the Google Drive version?
There are 2 changes, there are 2 articles that were submitted by the deadline. In front of you, you have a copy of the warrant. Article 2 is a request from the police department for $22,588 to supplement police salaries because of issues that having to do with
We have
Uh,
Dennis's letter.
yeah, he sent the letter.
Yeah.
What am I trying for? Police Academy, that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. The new requirement under the police reform bill that part-time officers receive police academy training has put a strain on the budget, and the chief is asking for an additional amount of money to cover the cost of sending people to training. And Jeff is absolutely right, we did receive a letter from the chief explaining this in greater detail.
Did you see it? Okay.
The Article number 8 is from the planning board, and that's to amend the zoning bylaw having to do with marijuana in town.
Which we just got today,
Yeah.
so that's not in our
be the final article.
Oh, sorry, yep.
And Article 3 is the deployment of free cash. And that may be expanded based upon what the certified free cash number comes back. So Ryan had a goal of $500,000 of free cash certified, reserving $300,000 for the capital plan for the annual town meeting. Means that there's $200,000 that's left over. He would like to put 100 each into the general stabilization and the capital stabilization. If free cash comes in at 700,000, which is more likely, then that additional $200,000 would be put into the road capital stabilization, which is an account that was created by town meeting vote, but there's no funds in it. So, but his goal is to build the reserves as much as possible.
Is it looking like it's going to come in that high, or?
I'm pretty confident that it's gonna be at least 700,000.
Okay.
It has been submitted to the Department of Revenue. They have a new staff down there in Springfield, so it's gonna take a little longer for it to be turned around.
Anyone have any questions about any warrant articles?
I do,
Sure.
I do. Oh.
Go ahead, Jeff.
All due respect to the three of you, cause this, my memory goes back to, I think, the other board, and you might be able to help me on this. Article 5, I'm trying to remember, it was a year or 2 years ago, that a request came essentially to do the very same thing. And at the time, what came up, and as I recall, we had to say no, simply because you can't put that kind of money to a church.
Yes, well,
Public money.
yeah, it was the roof,
Hmm?
that, it was the roof over here that,
No, this church at one point had asked for, they wanted to get painting, everything
Yeah.
else, and this is that church now,
Yeah.
correct?
yes.
So I'm just curious, aren't we gonna have the same problem?
CPC.
Legally?
It's something I'm working with council on.
Yeah, there was, I think it was in
Do you remember
it was
when
in
it came up?
Lexington, there was some case law that was very similar to this, that was referenced at the time. I think it was Lexington, Mass, I'm not 100% sure, but it might have been, so became clear to us that this was not something we were gonna be able to do.
Yeah, there are two issues here that need to be resolved. The first one is, can you spend the money on a church? And the answer is maybe.
Right.
It helps that the church, if a church is in a historic district, if the building itself is a historic structure, and if there's town history associated with the church, secular town history, such as that's where the first annual town meeting was held or something like that.
Yeah.
Those would be in favor of saying, yes, you could fund. Unfortunately, that church that's identified here has none of those attributes. It's a landmark, but it is not historically designated, it's not in a district. And so far as I know, there's been no secular town history associated with it.
I mean, there's no question it needs the work, but this is what I was recalling and when it came up. Do you remember when we had this?
Yeah,
Mike
that's
was
why I'm
on it,
giving the
Mike.
details here about
Yeah.
Lexington and stuff, so
Yeah.
Which church are we talking about?
Article 5,
Purple door.
Yeah, the one on the corner of
public
Williamsville.
money to a church.
Yeah, no,
So
I just
can't
wondered
do
which
it.
church was
So
it.
the second legal issue that we need to resolve is, can you borrow for a church even if it qualifies?
Well, that was the other question too.
Yeah, and we're still trying to resolve this. I understand that this is a request that's appeared before the voters before and they've said no. We'll see what the CPA committee decides, whether they want to forward this article on to the warrant in its final form, or whether the select board wants to make a recommendation for or against it. Same with the finance committee.
Well, based on the research that you've done in terms of the people that you have talked to, do you think this will go legally? As you just explained, all those categories that church does not fall into, is this in essence a waste of time?
Well,
Well, you don't have an answer from council yet, right?
right,
Right, so if you
Well,
get,
Well,
if they say,
I'm trying to get his
say,
feeling on what,
yeah.
how they've responded, et cetera, do you think it has a chance or not?
I think there's a chance that it can qualify for funding, whether it can be whether it can qualify for borrowed funding, I don't know.
So that's the rub, the borrowing, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, the point is to close what we're here to do is to close the warrant tonight.
Right, and
This
then
is,
send this back to the committees for their recommendations.
and council on
Yeah.
their review of this.
Yep.
Okay, I mean,
Subject to that, okay.
so we're just closing the warrant.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
My only other question on that one, David, is which part of the CPC funds were we looking to take from? Which account
The
was
historic
before?
set aside,
Huh?
the historic set aside.
Oh, the well, it's the only one that didn't reference it in the article,
Mhm.
in the CPC. Okay.
Thank you. That's the only one I had a question
Okay,
on.
Heather?
I have a few. You're laughing at
Yeah,
me?
no, I'm not laughing, I'm just like not shocked at all.
Not shocked at all.
No,
Okay, a couple of them. One being, David, one of the things we had talked about the last meeting was looking into the speed limit sign, the flashing sign that the police chief was talking about coming into town.
Yeah, I brought that up
Yeah.
because the town center committee, it came up during that and people had reached out to me to ask whether or not another better sign or whatever could be put up, so I'm just reminding.
Yeah, alright, I don't have a progress report on that one.
Okay, and then my only other thought on the one that pertains to, what is it, number 3, where you said, you know, if we do have more money, then we would do an additional $300 transfer.
300,000.
I'm sorry, yes, that's what I mean.
200,000 transfer,
Yes,
whatever, yeah.
whatever the difference is. Shouldn't we put that into the article and always pass over that piece if we zero it out? So that it's already there and we give people notice?
Well, I would amend the article.
So I only ask because, and David, you've been to more town meetings than me, but the various towns I've been in, a lot of times the moderators like to reduce the amount, they don't like to increase amounts because they question whether it gives the public enough notice. So shouldn't we, I'm just wondering if we should give the public notice that we're thinking of transferring an additional X dollars, and then if the money comes in lower than we thought, we pass over that amount
So,
and just modify the article less.
so the answer is that these are all in play, these are drafts that are in play.
Mm-hmm.
We can amend them however we want before October 4th.
Okay,
Once you sign it, it's in set in stone. I can make that amendment now, just put that, extra 200,000 in there.
So
We
you
can
want to
always-
no,
can
to
always-
transfer 300,000.
yeah, just so that it has, you know, I just wanna give the public the notice that we're looking to transfer a higher amount, and then if, you know, free cash comes in lower, assuming, if free cash isn't certified by October 4th, David, you know, we're taking guesses anyway.
Yeah,
That's all I had for questions.
alright, so
Okay, any other questions?
I'll make that change.
Any other questions on the warrant?
None from me.
Okay,
Yeah, I wanna talk about Article 8.
sorry.
I see a lot of,
We don't know that much about it, just so you know, we just got these,
It just came.
I
so.
see a lot of restrictions here and changes and whatnot. How does this impact the ability of Damon to
It
make
doesn't.
this work?
Damon's already started, his would be on
Yeah.
the old school one.
He'd be grandfathered.
He'd be grandfathered
Yep.
around these changes? But he would be, if he wanted to do something additional, he would have to follow these changes?
Mhm.
I guess the answer to that though is unknown, so additional could mean an amendment to his existing, which may not be, these may not be applicable, but if it was something brand new, then it
Right.
probably would, so, I am just clarifying. further questions, or discussion on the warrant?
David, you were good with the amount that the police chief was asking for coverage?
Did I,
Were you good with the amount that the chief was asking
I
for
haven't had a
coverage?
chance to, talk to him, I just got this
Okay.
today.
So this is-
Have you seen the letter?
I did
Yeah.
see the letter.
Cause it makes sense the way he's explaining it, you know, it's things that didn't work out.
Still a lot of money.
It's a sum that we talked about before, we had come up with this clever plan to spread it out over a 2-year period, but, that plan didn't work out. So, I'm not surprised about the amount. Whether we wanna fund it in this year or not, that's something for us to debate. It could be handled by a reserve fund transfer, or it could be deferred until the annual town meeting, one or the other.
What's in a reserve fund now?
30,000.
Excuse me.
God bless you.
I mean, if we don't fund it, I mean, it leaves some shortages on his, you know. So
Yeah.
we're talking about the safety people, you know, I don't think we have a choice, you know.
Well, we don't have a choice about the requirement to get the part-timers to police academy trained. That's just part of the law of the land at this point, the police reform bill. That was enacted sometime around December.
Okay, well, I think we've made it pretty clear, we have not plenty of time, but we have additional time to actually discuss and modify these articles, and that we're here tonight to simply close the warrant, so that no additional articles can come in.
Could that money come from the ARPA fund?
Could it come from ARPA?
Uh-oh, glasses are up.
That means yes.
He's thinking.
The answer is yes. It could fall under the category of lost revenue. You know, presumably the pandemic had an impact upon your finances. You can make a calculation as to what that impact is. And if that money is sufficient, then you can use it for whatever lawful purpose you would have used it anyways. So, yeah, you can do that.
Good idea?
So we just want a motion to close the warrant,
Yeah.
right? I'll make a motion to close the warrant for the special town meeting Tuesday, October 19th, 2021.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes?
Yes.
Unanimous? Okay. Next item is the Veteran Service Officer. David, you and I spoke about this the other day, can you give us an update of where things stand?
Sure, so, we received the formal letter, we have an intermunicipal agreement with, town of, Westminster for the shared services of a veteran service officer in order to comply with our obligations under Mass General Law, Chapter 115. The veteran service officer of Westminster has announced her retirement at the end of October 2001. So we received a formal letter from the town administrator of Westminster canceling the intermunicipal agreement, which has a couple more years to go through. And she indicated that she's going to ask the city of Gardner to perform, put together another intermunicipal agreement for veteran service.
Is Gardner willing? Or do we know?
Yes, so I talked to the mayor over at Gardner, and he said that he'd be willing to provide the VSO for Hubbardson as well at the same rate as what our current payment is for that fiscal year. The board asked me to inquire with the town of Barry. I talked to the town administrator down there, and they're interested, but they don't have the capacity to take Hubbardson's services on, so.
Heather, were you there when we asked this before?
Yes, I was.
Same answer, so.
For the veteran service
Yeah.
officer or for the building commissioner
Both.
capacity?
Building commissioner, I had raised that with Barry as well, and they were very clear that they didn't have the capacity.
Yep.
VSO, they're saying the same now?
Saying the same now,
Okay.
yeah.
So my only question on that would be, where Gardner was indicating that they were interested in doing it for the same amount, the question is, what's the quality of service that we would obtain from Gardner for that purpose?
I'm sure that it's the best service that they can provide.
So I just worry and wanna make sure that our veterans don't get left behind, where sometimes what happens with the large city is, you know, depending on how the structure is with the individual who's providing the services, they don't always get compensated additional.
But we've
For the
also
work they
run
do.
out of options too. We don't have any small little towns who are capable or willing to do it yet. So,
Would they come here for X amount of hours, or is it we send people to them?
My understanding of the law is that they have to have office hours here at least on a regular basis.
Well, 'cause
If not-
Westminster does not.
Hmm?
Westminster does not, right now. Sorry. Touche. So if they're supposed to have office hours here,
It's to our benefit for if they have office hours here, if they would have.
I'm not arguing that point. I'm saying if they're supposed to have office hours here, why do they not?
Well, it would make the services easier for the Hubbardson people to take advantage of.
I know
And it would
that,
increase our reimbursement through the state.
but why doesn't Westminster's agent now not come here?
I don't know.
Okay.
So when the agreement was originally signed a number of years ago, it had 3 towns that
Yeah.
included Ashburnham.
Yes.
And initially, the original version of this was that the veteran service officer held office hours in the community that they were serving.
Yeah.
In the original rendition of this contract. When, at some point when Ashburnham dropped out, you can see if you read under section 6, it talks about the weekly office hours, but it says Westminster as the host community shall provide office space and adequate support
Okay.
for the office hours. So
Yeah,
that was
'cause-
agreed to at some point.
Alright, cause somebody was coming here a while ago.
Yes.
But that was like,
It was a younger gentleman.
yes, with the
Yes.
long hair.
Yes.
Yes. I cannot for the life of me remember his first name, but he
You
was
wanna
very
say
nice.
Jared maybe?
I think so.
Yes, that was it.
Yeah,
Okay.
cause he used to have an office over there.
So the arrangement on the table would be Gardner, Westminster, and Hubbardston with office hours Gardner for services for the 3 towns.
I would strongly push for office hours also in Hubbardston.
Where would you put them?
Well, we would find
That's problem number 2, right?
Yeah, we would find a conference room
Okay.
where people can talk about personal issues and
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean, they need a spot.
not clearly this place isn't suitable,
No.
given that the walls don't go up to the
Ceiling?
ceiling.
Just out of curiosity, where did Ashburnham go?
They didn't move.
Yeah, I know. So where did they go for their veterans agent?
I don't know about Ashburnham.
Cause I'm sure they
They're
still
required to
need
have
one, yeah.
they're required to have one.
So where the hell did they go? Rutland?
Maybe they're doing it on their own.
Okay.
And that is an option for us. It may be very hard to do though.
Yeah, for
Getting
the
someone for
minimum.
4 hours a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, Ryan worked on this. for-
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
know.
did.
That's why we did the joint
Yeah.
with the 3 towns.
yeah, you're right. Ryan explored all the
Yeah, I'm just curious
possibilities.
where Ashburnham went, cause
I don't know.
I'm just curious.
Sometimes these towns find somebody who's a real gung-ho person and wants to do this work and does a great job and basically is doing it as a volunteer service.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen in a number of towns. I've seen,
I'm still curious
yeah.
what they have going on over there, just out of curiosity. So,
Okay, well, do we need any action on this, or we still in the investigation mode?
It sounds like Gardner is the place for us to really focus our efforts, so I just wanna know if the board is willing for me to work with Gardner to come up with an intermunicipal agreement for veteran services.
I agree with you personally, so
Alright,
Yeah, no, I do too.
I guess I would just say if we can get a, you know, having had read through their building commissioner services agreement with us, perhaps we could get a proposal of an agreement on the table first, cause I just wanna make sure that our veterans are covered, it's very clear that someone's going to preferably come here to provide service hours, specify out specifically how many those service hours are a week. I don't like the vagueness, of the building services contract where it doesn't spell out a lot and then you have nothing to go back on if you're saying any questions of things being performed.
Yeah, as we get closer to December, we're going to start renegotiating that building inspector
Yeah.
Agreement. It's going to expire in June. So we need to have some performance standards and we need to tighten up the financial arrangement with the city of Gardner.
But, so I guess I would be okay with David discussing with Gardner and bringing back to the table a proposed agreement for us to take a look at and make sure that it covers our veterans.
Well,
I think that's
the
what he was
plan,
looking for.
Yeah. And, but inclusive is, Westminster's gonna be included in that also, correct?
Yes.
Are they gonna be
Westminster
part of a
Gardner.
three-way agreement, or is Gardner gonna do two intermunicipal agreements, one with each?
I don't know,
Okay.
but I mean, you could carve it both ways. You could have 3 towns together, or you could have 1 town that hosts for 2 satellite towns.
Sure.
Okay, well, clearly, we've got some questions, but you've got you've got support to, you know,
Follow through with
start
Gardner,
the,
yeah.
Thank you.
process of the agreement. Okay, anything further on the veteran service officer from anybody? Alright, we've got, old business, room number 5, which is the class 2 license. We do not have anybody here, for that tonight, correct?
Correct.
Or nobody looks like to be on Zoom. Alright, well, you wanna let us know what's going on with this?
So, Mr., I believe it's, Armaletto.
Yep.
Is looking to have his business, for the used car sales. We are waiting on an inspection from the, fire chief. We did get a sign off from the tax collector and we are, waiting for the building commissioner to sign off on it. It's contingent upon receiving a $25,000 bond, so we just need to know if that would work with, approving this application, if contingent upon the signatures and the bond.
Okay, so this is in the same location as a previous,
Correct.
class 2 license
And that is where?
at 107 Gardner Road. So what was the name of this one? Second shift?
Second shift. So it's just the owner that was there, he was like renting it, correct? And now he
believe
actually
so.
bought the building.
Yes,
And that's the difference, and he has a partner now.
yes.
That's from what after asking a billion and one questions,
Okay,
that's what I gathered from the changes.
okay, well, you know, clearly there's a few other things he's gotta get in there, bond and some sign-offs, but, you know, it's I guess, if we're, ready to take action on somebody making a motion to approve that contingent on those things, we can do that.
I have a question, if I could.
Sure.
David, I know last time we talked about waiting, cause we didn't have the building commissioner and fire chief sign-offs. Have they been notified that
Yeah.
this is there? Can you give us a ballpark of how long ago they've been notified that this guy's waiting for a sign-off?
1 week,
Oh, just a week ago?
yeah,
Okay, so it's not like we've been waiting for 2 months for these things to be signed off on?
no,
Okay,
So they weren't notified before our last meeting?
No, this came in right before the last meeting.
Okay, so they were
So,
notified
yes.
the following week,
yeah.
okay, alright.
So how should we word the motion then?
I'd make a motion that we approve the application by, John M. Inaletto, for his class 2 auto dealer license contingent upon the, receipt of a $25,000 bond and the sign-offs by the building commissioner and the fire chief.
Second the motion?
Seconded, is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, thank you, town administrator report, David, you're up.
I don't have a whole lot, but what I have is Tony Walker. Introducing you to the board formally. Tony is helping out and doing a great job, and you know, we're getting things ready for Ryan to come back.
All right, so how's it going, your short period of time here in the, this office?
It's good.
Yeah?
Yes.
What are your hours?
Monday, 8 to 4, and then in the evenings, Tuesday, 8 to 4, and Wednesday, Thursday, 8 to 12:45.
Okay.
So she covers Tuesday when I'm not here.
Yep.
So she's sort of supplementing the work that I do.
How's, you know, the last few weeks, how's it been with, the public in and out of here?
It's been good. I don't think we've had any issues.
No.
Tony is super helpful to me as well as her colleagues and the public. Things are working out well.
Awesome, okay, please stay.
All right.
And what's your actual title?
Executive assistant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
executive assistant.
Welcome.
Yes.
She's
Happy
pretty
to have
much
you.
fit right in. You know, I'm here a lot, so, yeah, and she's already, we've already bonded, it's great, it's great.
God help us.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, I was excited until right now.
Hey,
Just,
you be nice.
And
what else
so
you got?
the second appointment is Mr. Matthew Gale to the DPW department. He's a position of truck driver laborer. And Travis needs the help down there. So he's gonna be starting in the next week or so.
Did we didn't have that didn't come across us yet, did it?
No, they're bringing it to your attention now.
Oh,
Right
no,
this
no.
second.
I meant, we don't have a form on that or
No.
anything like
Oh.
that,
This is the first I've heard of it.
Yeah. So a long time coming and filling this position, huh?
Yep.
Is he from town or no? Who knows? Whatever, he's here.
So many places there are jobs and people just aren't coming out for them.
We hear it from everyone, it's so ridiculous.
You'd think it would be the opposite way around.
Yeah, no.
Where's he from, do we know?
I just asked that.
Yeah.
Huh?
I just asked that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
That's
didn't hear you.
okay,
I
yeah.
was reading.
That's okay. Well, it was when I had it, so you definitely weren't reading, Jeff. Yeah, I don't think we know. It doesn't say it in there.
Just curious.
Yeah, I know, I am too, so. Don't worry, I'll find out. I had to go down to my trailer anyway, so I'll snoop around. Bother Travis. Meet the new guy.
So, after Chris's review here, do you need action from us on this?
You've been notified that I've signed the form, so I think we're good.
Okay.
I think you get to veto it if you don't see something you like there. So the only other update I have is the revenues for the first 2 months of the fiscal year are right on target. So last time we met, I was able to report on expenses, and they're on target, and the revenues are on target. So we're off to a good start.
Okay, great, thank you. And just before we close it, does anyone have any issues with the, position that we just, passed around?
Did you guys see it?
No? Okay. All right, thanks, David.
Thank
Can
you.
I ask David a follow-up question?
Of course.
I have two questions, David. So when we met last time, we had two things come up. One was you were working on trying to set up a meeting with one of the residents and her husband and other involved potential departmental bodies relative to the landlord issue / potentially unsanctioned dog kennel fence, etc., etc.
Yeah, Dakota's property.
Right, so I'm still putting that meeting together, and the other issue was the trees.
Yes.
And the tree warden is on vacation, be returning this week.
Okay.
That's
Thank
for
you.
that lot that got decimated. I mean, every time I go by it, I mean, the trees that were what I consider part of the town,
Mm-hmm.
these were big, old trees.
Yeah, they're gone.
And they shouldn't have been touched.
Yeah, I drove by there and I was,
It's awful.
it's not a subtle place.
Okay, Roman numeral 7, policies review, we don't have any. 8, matters not reasonably anticipated by the chair. Anyone have any?
We haven't talked about any community events.
I'm aware, I was just thinking
Okay,
the same
I
thing.
did-
Any
So
what?
I didn't see it
That's,
on there.
so for future, we gotta put that on there.
Okay.
Somehow we lost it this time.
What
Let's-
didn't we talk about?
Community events, so
Oh.
what do we call it,
Katie's report.
announcements?
Yeah,
We call-
announcements.
So, Tony, why don't we make, item 3 announcements, and then 4 will be minutes and consent agenda?
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we get that right off the get-go.
Alright, so matters not reasonably anticipated, we'll call that almost announcements now.
Okay.
What do you got?
Well, first you need to talk about your run.
Yes.
Because you were actually there. I was off Girl Scout camping, so I could not make it. So you get to talk about the run.
Okay, sounds good. So this is the Hubbardson Library 5K, maybe the 24th year, I believe that it was, probably the 16th or so that I've done. Last year was virtual, which everyone was sort of on their honor to go and run 3.1 miles and report your score back. No awards, none of the normal stuff that was in there. There were t-shirts, you could go up and at a prescribed time go get your not t-shirts, long sleeve, they're like gold around here. They are, trust me, and especially in my house. It's the only reason my girls run it with me. But still, it was there was about 75 to 80 people who showed up, which is great. In previous years, and not just the last few, but 6, 8 years ago, there were 120, 130 at times. Sort of tailed off a little bit as a lot of things do, and then we didn't know, because it didn't happen last year, how many people would show up. So it was great to see 75 to 80, and perfect day on sort of 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, and the library has raised. I mean, this race has raised $40,000 to $50,000 for the library over the years. The Wiggler family and others put it together, and the trustees were all there, and people get awards. The guy who wins it every year, Scott Leslie from Rutland, he gets a cord of wood. That's his, which is perfect, from Pioneer Logging, and then there's many other gifts that are donated throughout the course. So ran with my daughters again, and Ryan conveniently is overseas, so he couldn't run in it this year, and otherwise it went great. So look forward to next year.
Okay. That sounds good. Yeah, I drove by. I saw the the ambulance at the end, and I'm like, oh man, I can't even stop. So so I'm glad it went well. So this weekend we have field day. Just in case you haven't noticed, you haven't seen the big orange banners in the center of town hanging up, courtesy of the Lions there. So September 18th, 9 to 3, the weather is looking gorgeous for Saturday. There's lots of stuff. There's music playing. There's lots of they have different courses for the kids, like inflatable things, the water slide, lots of different food. There's fried dough, and there's going to be bacon burgers, and Joyce has given me like this huge list of what she's got going on her side, and I'm like, ooh, this is going to be a good day. They got the cow flop contest, they got the baby contest, they got all kinds of good stuff going on. And then on my side, we have a bunch of vendors, a lot of local crafters and local businesses, and then we have our normal community, like the Vietnam Memorial and the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts. So it's going to be a good day. The other thing that's going to be happening that same day, Sanda said that at, I'm pretty sure it's at 10:30, there's going to be a ribbon cutting ceremony for the new playground. So that will be all tied in, kind of like, everybody welcome back, let's all have, fun together. So it's going to be fun, definitely don't miss it. And then coming up the following weekend, we have the duck race on the 25th. It's going to be at 4 o'clock at the Rod and Gun. Now you can buy a little rubber ducky, one for $5, or you can buy 3 for $10. and they will be selling them at the field day. This is for the Lions. It's a fundraiser for them, and they're gonna be dropping them, I guess, off on one side of the bridge, and they're gonna let them float down underneath the bridge, and I guess once they go to a certain point, that's the winner. And there's prizes and all kinds of good stuff, but they're starting it out this year. We're gonna hope that everyone participates and it goes well, and they're planning on hopefully doing this annually. So that will be good, definitely. Hubbardson Scholarship Committee is tentatively, as long as nothing goes horribly awry with COVID, August 24th from 8 to 11, harvest breakfast back at the Rod and Gun. So we'll have to figure out how, there's still some logistics and stuff going on, but that's for the Hubbardson Scholarship Committee. Normally they give out $3,000 scholarships to college to Hubbardson residents. So we haven't done anything with that committee for a while other than fried dough, because we haven't been allowed.
What was that date again?
August 24th from 8 to 11 in the morning.
Not August.
Excuse me, October, Jesus. That's why you're looking at me funny. I'm like, what am I saying wrong? October 24th from 8 to 11 at the Rod and Gun. So, like I said, tentatively, as long as nothing goes horribly awry with COVID, and we'll figure it out, but they usually do a pretty decent breakfast. Then we also have in October, I said it right that time, October 22nd and 23rd, the Haunted Hayride. The Lions are still looking for skits. You can go to hauntedhubbardston.com and find out all the details, but they're giving away $500 for first prize.
And 300 for
Yeah,
second,
second, and
I mean,
150 for third. But even if you do a skit, they give you
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I mean, it's, they're trying to make people want to do skits, and it is really fun. I will tell you, I've done it all these years, like a whole bunch of years, and so, especially since it's been at Rieta, it's fun because your feet aren't wet all night like it was at the Mount. Jeff, that was muddy and cold, but because you got wet being in the grass. But at Rieta, you stay dry because it's all sandy, so you can do your skit and everything and not be miserable, and it's actually really fun. My Girl Scout troop, the Boy Scout troop, my family, we all have super fun doing dumb stuff all evening long with the Lions. But the rain date is the 29th and 30th, the following weekend, just in case it goes horribly awry. It's like downpour or some tropical storm comes through. But I would definitely suggest, if you can't do a skit or you don't want to do a skit, to definitely go and check it out, because it is a fun evening. So that's what we got going on right now. There's some stuff in the works with some other stuff, but I can't really announce that yet until we have some set in stone things.
Alright, great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Things are happening.
Yes, we're coming back to life, people.
Okay, anyone have anything else they wanna, mention? Matters not reasonably anticipated? No? Okay, public press questions, we don't have any, nothing came in through, I just, said thank you to Lori, and she's, left us, cause she hung out for a while, okay,
Move to adjourn.
Second.
okay, it's
Third.
not
Fourth.
debatable, and it is 7:32, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes,
We out.